Hey, welcome to the first video on the Collectibles YouTube channel. So for my first video, what I wanted to do was share my experience in selling on eBay, selling collectibles on eBay. Really from the perspective of somebody who's been doing this for 12 months. I am not a seasoned pro. I won't claim to be a seasoned pro when it comes to selling on eBay. As far as my experience, some is good, some is not so good. Some is kind of sobering to learn how selling doesn't really meet the expectations that you had. It's really that expectations meets reality meme that you see online. But all of these learning experiences, both good and bad, have really taught me how to think differently about collectible markets. So number one, why would you sell things on eBay? Well, you can cash in on collectibles or household items that have appreciated in value. So really my journey into eBay selling originated by just going through my record collection. I've collected vinyl records for about 10 years now. And as I was going through my records, I was just curious to see, hey, I remember there was a lot of demand for these records 10 years ago when I bought them. What are they worth now? And I would look them up and they would be worth vastly more than what I paid for them. And so I think that was the seed that kind of planted in my mind to say, like, holy cow, like if I'm not emotionally attached to some of these records or these trading cards or whatever, it might be worth selling so that I can then kind of turn that money and turn those profits into something else that I want, a more expensive record, a more historical record, something that I think would improve my collection. Now, there's some records I've sold. There are some things that I've sold that I've, made a good profit on. There's other things I've sold where I've taken a loss on, or I've just gotten my money back. That's just kind of the way it goes, especially if you approach this as to trying to clear space for more records. And also, it might be worth that if you have something that you could sell, but you're really going to break even, well, if you don't want it anymore and you just want that money back, that would be a reason why you would do it. The second reason would be it would get you more transactions on eBay. That's the potential for more reviews. So in my mind, the more transactions I get, there's more potential for positive reviews that will have people coming to my shop more and more and maybe trusting me as a seller versus of seeing me as a more fly-by-night kind of shop that would rip people off, which I definitely don't want to do. The second thing we're sharing from my experience on eBay selling is it's really addicting. There's almost, if you know what a runner's high is, there's really a seller's high. And then whenever you get the notification you've sold something or you hear I think it's like a cha-ching on the eBay app, I can feel the rush of like energy kind of in my mind. I'm like, holy cow, what did I sell? It's excitement because it just means you're like, hey, I just got paid for something and I need to go ship it out. So it's really, I start finding that I go out to look for things to sell because I get excited about selling things. It's always important to remember that when you sell, make sure it makes sense though. So some of this seller's high could kind of make you think, well, I just want to sell this thing for this price for the sake of selling it. But you have to really think about, is it worth the time and the money in your time to do that? If you're going to take a loss on something and you'd rather just keep it, you might as well just keep it. Another thing I've learned from eBay selling is you have to keep posting. So you need to post items frequently as opposed to sporadically. So I had a problem with this where I would post things, maybe 5 things on a Sunday, and I wouldn't post anything the rest of the week. I think the algorithm would rather you post things daily or frequently so that it sees that, hey, this seller has activity and they're constantly posting things. The more sales that you get, you'll probably rank higher on the listings. So if somebody looks for, I don't know, Pikachu base set, and you post frequently and you have frequent sales and you have good feedback and you offer free shipping, you'll probably rank higher on the eBay algorithm. Another experience I can share through eBay selling is that I really kind of get a rush out of providing something valuable to buyers. So when you sell on eBay, you kind of have to remember you're playing the retail game, in that you're selling something to somebody. You have to give a good customer experience. And when I sell something, I want to give them the best experience that I can. Meaning, I want to make sure it's packaged really well. There's nothing more disappointing when you buy something online and it wasn't packed well. The product could be damaged, the product could be dented. That really is like a no-no. And especially when you're selling records or trading cards. If you ship a card out and it's not in a top loader and it gets bent, or if you're shipping a record and it's been moving around, it can damage the edges of the record cover. I really put a lot of passion into packaging it well and shipping it out on a timely manner. Because really, I'm selling something most of the time that I once enjoyed, or I'm selling something that I think is cool or is valuable. And I really want to hand that off to the next person because they bought it because they feel the exact same way. So I want to care for it and get it there as safely and as quickly and as efficiently as possible, because I really hope they enjoy it as much as I did. So another thing I learned selling on eBay is taxes. So a huge thing that you really don't want to overlook is make sure you're doing good bookkeeping, whether it's in an Excel spreadsheet or if you've scaled up higher, you're using some sort of accounting software. You need to make sure you're taking good records, and you need to make sure that you are aware of potential taxes. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not a tax professional. I'm not a financial advisor. All of this is for entertainment purposes only. But if you sell on a site like eBay, they will send you something at the end of the year saying, hey, here's what you sold. This is the amount that you sold, and you would have to add that as ordinary income on your taxes when you do your federal taxes. As far as state taxes go, fortunately, eBay and many other marketplaces like TCG Player, which I've sold on as well, will remit the sales tax for you for the state tax. Meaning, when you get into this, if you set up like a sole proprietorship or LLC or something, the state that you live in, if they have sales tax, I can only speak for the state that I live in that has sales tax. Every quarter you have to submit a form saying here's how much I sold, and then here's how much tax, and you have to pay the tax on it. Because eBay remits the tax for you, you don't have to do it. But you really just need to make sure you have good documentation. You have documentation on your cost of goods sold, meaning what did you buy the product for, so that you can show if you made a profit or a loss on the item. All things that you need to be aware of, and that you shouldn't take advice from people on YouTube, but maybe talk to a professional if you get into this. And I would say the last thing that eBay's taught me is that I really have learned how to be a better collector and investor in the overall collectibles trade. So if your interest is to invest in collectibles, which I intend to talk a lot about on this channel, most of my interest on this channel is going to be centered around investing in collectibles and ways to think about collectible markets. When you start selling on eBay, you really need to think about what is the ROI or the return on investment that you get by selling. Works for flipping as well. But it's one thing to see something and say, hey, I can double my money on that, and I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna sell it on eBay. It's another thing to actually do it. Because what you need to be aware of is that you might buy something for 10 bucks and you're like, hey, that thing will sell for $25 on eBay. I'm gonna make $15. What you have to be cognizant of is list it for 25 bucks. You say it sells. If the buyer's not paying for shipping, which, as I mentioned earlier, if you put free shipping on your eBay listing, you're going to rank higher in the algorithm as for the listings. You have to factor in the shipping cost, and you have to factor in the eBay fees. That's about 13% of the total value of the item. So say the item is $25, you list it for free shipping, and you're selling it somewhere that has 8% sales tax. It's probably going to come out to be 27 bucks or so. $27 times 0.13, 13% is going to be the eBay take. You're going to have to say it costs $5 to ship. All of a sudden, that $25, it's It's getting deducted by the eBay fee, getting deducted by the shipping. You really might only be netting a 50 to 60% profit versus the over 100% profit that you thought you were going to net. It's really important to think about this, especially from the investment standpoint, because it's really popular to invest in collectibles and buy in bulk, especially in the trading card space, which I am passionate about, like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and Flesh and Blood and the like, and games like that. Really popular to hoard things and sell them and consider them investments. The difference that these have that proper classic investments like stocks or index funds or real estate has is those are way more liquid and there's way less fees. Really, when you sell a stock, if you're with your Fidelities, your Schwabs, there's not a fee to sell that stock. There's always going to be a fee unless you do something on Facebook Marketplace or you sell in person. So really with eBay fees, that's kind of what you're paying for, is that this will be a safe route and that eBay will back you as a buyer or a seller. And this should really get you thinking about, if you do intend to sell, that changes your optimal price for when you probably would decide to sell the item. And all of this experience just kind of makes you a better collector. It really kind of opened my eyes to it. I'm filming this in 2023 and we're 3 years removed from the COVID pandemic. And the COVID pandemic saw a increased spike in collectible markets and the value of collectibles. And I think many people were seeing this and thinking, hey, like, holy cow, look how much money people are making on Pokemon cards or on comic books. And we're doing the same thing, and they were making money. There was a speculative euphoria around these markets at that time where that could be done. But when you get into more stable times or even turbulent times, that kind of euphoria where everybody seemingly wins goes away. And that's when you need to be a more educated collector. That's my experience selling on eBay. It is really a lot of fun. It's really rewarding whenever people get the item and they enjoy the item and you can kind of pass that along. You have to be really cognizant of what kind of tax implications this is going to have for your personal financial life. But at the end of the day, if you're interested in collectibles and it's fun for you and you enjoy buying and selling and seeing things appreciate in value or cringe when they don't appreciate in value, doing this is a really valuable experience and an education to collectible markets. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I thank you all, and I hope you all have a great one. Thanks.